This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to a Freakazoid episode of the Animaniacast.
Hi, this is Paul Rudd, voice of Freakazoid, and you're listening to the Animaniacast.
Hunt, he's the Huntsman. Into action is his cry. From the forest to the city, he will run there in a jiffy to sock evil in the eye. Marty Phoebe was a poor hunter, hungry without goal. Till the day he saved a chunky elf from being eaten by a crow. The elf rewarded Marty Phoebe with a magic sack of corn. He gained strength and speed and shiny teeth, and as the huntsman was reborn. Hunt, he's the huntsman. He'll rip the pants on the bad guys. He snaps an emergency, sound the horn of urgency, and summon the huntsman. Into action is his cry. Hunt.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Freakazoid and Friends. This is, of course, the spin-off series of the Animaniacast. We're the only podcast that lets you freak out about Freakazoid. And here we just go ahead and we pull out a random episode. Usually it's the one that happens just right after the one we just talked about, the previous one. And we revisit all the cultural references and gags. And of course, in the end, we give the episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again are my co-hosts, my brother Nathan.
Hey, I know you. You're that potato head guy.
And joining us across the country from Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Yes, when I was watching the episode, I was hoping that Nathan would say the potato head guy thing. Like, if Nathan doesn't pick that as his catchphrase for today's episode, he's missing out, let me tell you.
Sure.
Well, today, especially because my wife says I have a head like a pumpkin, so I do have a pretty,
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a line in the show. I was just saying
no.
Oh no.
Oh, what a coincidence. Okay, well, today we are talking about a very relaxing episode of Freakazoid. I think we should all just kick back, just think of the summer breeze. We're all stressed out right now because of all the coronaviruses and lockdowns and all this stuff. And, well, you know what? Let's just relax. Just relax-o-vision right now. Relax-o-audio, I suppose. But don't get too relaxed. Don't get too relaxed. That's right. Today we're talking about the segments Relax-o-vision, Fatman and Boy Blubber, Limbo Lock-Up, and Terror Palace, which is with the Huntsman once again. Ooh, very exciting with the Huntsman. And boy, this episode had it all. It had some relaxing stuff. It had the action. But if you were to describe this episode in just a few words, what would you say, Nathan?
It's got the Huntsman's back, and this time he actually gets called in for some action. So I'm excited for that.
Exactly. That is going to be, oh man, I'll tell you, he doesn't disappoint this time. Kelly, what about you?
It was a very hyper episode.
This is Saturday morning cartoons at its finest, really, when you think about it. When you're jumping off the walls, with your favorite cereal, why not do it with Freakazoid as he's jumping around?
I was never that kind of child.
What was your favorite cereal growing up?
No, I ate the cereal, but I never bounced off the wall.
Oh. Well,
I loved all the cereals. I like the Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops and Cookie Crisp and Lucky Charms and Cheerios and Rice Krispies and Honey Smacks.
I need to eat more cereal these days.
And we had Pac-Man cereal. Pac-Man cereal was good.
Pac-Man cereal. I barely remember that, but they had like the mushrooms as not the mushrooms, marshmallow. It had mushrooms in it.
It's been a long time since I've had it, but I'm pretty sure it had mushrooms.
There were no mushrooms.
Maybe I've been. No, I have not.
That explains a lot about you, Joey.
I have not been taking mushrooms. No. No, it had the marshmallows with the ghosts in it, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I just had the Mr. T cereal theme song in my head, but only like one part of it, like teaming up with Mr. T. I just had that in my head this morning. Why? I have no idea.
Teaming up with Mr. T cereal, it's getting on the team that knows how cool breakfast can be. You get a crispy corn taste with a touch of brown sugar. Teaming up with Mr. T, it's cool.
I remember in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he pours Mr. T cereal. He's like, I pity the fool.
Who don't eat my cereal.
Oh, Pee-wee. Anyway, well, all of that cereal talk out of the way. This show is a great podcast to listen to while eating cereal. And I'll plug a different Retro Zap podcast, by the way, Techno Retro Dads. If you're a cereal fanatic, you got to listen to Techno Retro Dads here on the Retro Zap network because they are cereal experts. They're so passionate about it. Every single kind. So listen to that if you love cereal. And speaking of Freakazoid, there's a little bit of Freakazoid stuff that has gone on in the news. Paul Rugg has been doing these great Instagram interviews lately, both with voice actors. He just did one with Tom Ruger talking all about Animaniacs and the writing process. It's a half hour long. It's actually really interesting. And we're pre-recording this before it actually happened, but I believe he should have released, by the time this comes out, an interview with or a discussion with him, Tom Ruger, and John P. McCann talking about Freakazoid and answering fan questions about the show. So it's over on Paul Rugg's Instagram, which I believe is Rugg1, I believe, RUGG1. And if that's wrong, then I'll put the right one in. But head on over to his Instagram because it's some really great stuff on there. And heck, even though this is before it happened, I'm going to go ahead and play a clip of it right now for us to listen to, just a small clip to whet your appetites for it. So here's a clip of the thing that has not yet aired when we watched before. Yes, here it is.
I won't even read the questions. A lot of people want to know about Freakazoid. Like, what was our plan and how we were going to do that? And I'm almost ashamed to say we didn't have a plan. That Freakazoid was sort of put. Maybe you had a plan, Tom, but
I found the sentence.
Yes,
it's two sentences. So, Freakazoid, a girl counterpart to Freakazoid. She can work independently, but can also be brought in to team up with Freakazoid and or others.
I love that.
I don't think there's anything more. Let's see it. Find next. Wait a minute. What is this? This is on the last page. If Dexter had a little sister, she could become Freakazoid someday. Or although we might want to call her Freakazola.
So there you go. That's some of the deep thought that we were putting into all of this.
Well, how about that? Wow, wasn't that interesting? That was...
Yes.
It was so amazing.
I really liked it.
Well, let's go ahead and get into our discussion of today's episode of Freakazoid. And Nathan, before we do, tell us, when did this episode first premiere?
Well, Joey, I'm so glad you asked. This episode was on a Saturday. It was November 25th of 1995. It was a week after last episode of Freakazoid, which is nice. This was a day after the release of the movie Casino. It was also one day after the release of the first feature-length film created completely using computer-generated imagery. Do you know what that is? Anyone?
Toy Story?
Yeah, Toy Story came out just right before this. And then it was the day before Dan Marino set a new NFL record with the most touchdown passes at the time, which was 343 passes. And it was just a few days after the Beatles released a brand new single, Free as a Bird, on their new anthology album.
Yeah. Man, I used to sing that Free as a Bird song. I used to really like that song. It's a good song.
And it's like, it was lost or something, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure, but this is what I think happened. I believe it was actually a John Lennon lost recording. Like, it was something that John Lennon never released. And so they just all got to, the three remaining Beatles said, well, let's take this John Lennon song and make it a Beatles song. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but again, if I'm wrong, I'll delete what I just said, but I think I'm right. But
I learned something interesting about the Beatles, or I guess John Lennon, the other day, is that he signed the contract ending his. I guess all the Beatles, sign contracts to end the band or whatever, but he signed his at the Polynesian Resort at Walt Disney World.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
All places.
Yeah, I saw it somebody posted it on Reddit, and I was like, well, I need to confirm this. So it's in Wikipedia as well. So it seems pretty legit. It's been a couple other places online too. So, I mean, I know not to trust everything on the internet, but
the world was he doing in Florida? He's not a Florida guy. I don't think Florida and John Lennon, but then again, he was wearing those white suits, and I guess this is a very kind of Florida-ish kind of.
I think I read it was like right after Christmas vacation for a bunch of them, or
okay.
It was right after the holidays, so everybody was kind of in their own separate, areas of the world vacationing.
Interesting. Okay,
if I remember correctly.
Well, there you go. Disney World has caused the breakup of the Beatles. So there you go. Put that in your Wikipedias. Well, let's go ahead and get into today's episode. And this starts off, of course, with the Booger Beast. So basically, this is a cold open for this episode. The Booger Beast is kind of going down. It's going to terrorize Steph. Steph is in an alley saying, "Oh no, help, help!" And luckily, Freakazoid is there.
Freakazoid!
All right, Steph, what poor guy you tormenting tonight?
I am the Booger Beast.
Right. I quit. You win. Kleenex!
It's very gross. This Freakazoid's covered with snot. And, of course, as we all know in these modern times, that is a big no-no. So Freakazoid...
he's ahead of the time.
He is very much ahead of the time. And so Freakazoid gets the heck out of there. And unfortunately leaves Steph to be absorbed by a blob of snot. This is I think the only time we ever hear Booger Beast talk. I think he's been featured very shortly in that Freakazoid and Friends episode. But what did you guys think about this quick segment? Nathan, let's start with you.
It was gross. No. It's short. It's always good.
Kelly, what about you?
I'm sure little boys loved this segment.
Oh, I'm sure they did. This is like right good for, adolescent boys who, like in the commercial breaks, you would have a commercial for creepy crawlers or something like that with oozy slime and everything. But Frank Welker does an amazing job, I think, as the Booger Beast in this. Just the noises that he makes. Gosh, it's just such a talented voice actor to do so many different types of voices and these creatures with really disgusting creatures like the Booger Beast. Kind of reminiscent, I guess, of Clayface, but I don't think the Booger Beast does anything other than just goes around and
just sneezes on
people. Well, this is the funny thing, because when Freakazoid was basically picked up by Tom Ruegger and Paul Rugg and John P. McCann, I think they were just given these basic designs from Bruce Timm, who did Batman the Animated Series. And so, I don't know, I'm assuming the Booger Beast might have been one of those. And yeah, when you kind of have this design of like a boogery beast, it's like, well, what do you do with that? Well, you have him put boogers on you, and that's what he does. So you kind of move on from there. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our main segment, I guess you could say, of today's episode, and that is Relaxovision. And Relaxovision was written by Paul Dini, and it was directed by Scott Geralds. And Nathan, why don't you tell us what happens here in Relaxovision?
Well, Joey, I'm glad you asked. So we start off, Freakazoid is entering this dark room, turns on light, and it's like, hello, is anyone there? You notice there's some ninjas, and then they jump on him, and right when you think there's going to be a big battle or something, we cut to some cute fishies that are happy and pleasant and some nice music, and it turns out that the broadcast standards, head of the broadcast standards is presenting a new feature called Relaxovision, which will protect us from seeing anxious things like fights and I don't know, things that we don't want to see. Instead, we'll be able to relax with Relaxovision. And then we're going to feature it in this new segment called Terror on the Midway, which, oh no, what's going to happen here? So it starts off, we're at a carnival, and Freakazoid is at a kissing booth. He's kissing lots of women. There's a line. There's so many all the girls want to kiss Freakazoid for $1.
Wow, that makes over $200.
Can we please take a break? My lips are numb.
Okay.
Stay pucker, girls! Be back in 15 minutes!
Aww.
And he takes a break and goes to get some corn on the cob with Steph. And that's when the Lobe comes and kidnaps Steph. And leaves behind a giant bomb that looks like Steph, and with a note on it. And after the bomb explodes, Freakazoid reads the note, says that Steph has been kidnapped by the Lobe.
Dear Freakazoid, if you're still alive to read this, I am holding Stephanie, prisoner at the Smithsonian. Come get her if you dare.
And right when he's about to go, maybe he's there, then Cosgrove comes over and invites him to go to some mud baths.
Now, Nate, before we get to the mud baths, I gotta correct you. It wasn't corn on the cob. It was frozen bananas. I remember distinctly Freakazoid saying banana in a very comedic way.
I was just thinking of something yellow,
No, it was definitely bananas, frozen bananas. I liked the way he said it so much that I wrote it in my notes. Banana. That is a
perfect.
So, yes, I did not say corn on the cob.
Hey, you want a frozen banana?
Well, good. Okay, that is a funnier thing.
So back to
I'm glad. So yes, he's taking a mud bath, and of course Cosgrove's like, hey, maybe that note is a clue on where Steph is. This saying where Steph, the note saying where Steph was might be a clue of where she might be. So Freakazoid realizes that Cosgrove is right, and leaves without even getting his towel. All right, so next scene, we find out that not only is Lobe kidnapped Steph, but he's also gathered up all of Freakazoid's greatest arch enemies. So we've got we've got the Cobra Queen, we've got Cave Guy. First he has to fight Longhorn, the bull from just was that last episode?
Yeah, it was the villain.
Yeah, so
Freakazoid face off against.
he's back again.
He's much more menacing in this one too, I think.
Yeah, because he actually has to charge at him every time he's. Yeah, every time he gets hit or is about to get hit, we cut to, of course, Relaxo Visions. So after he ends up beating Longhorn just barely, he's taking a lot of hits, but after they went into the gun room or whatever, they kind of blew each other up. So Freakazoid managed to get out of that just safely, but then the Queen Cobra grabs him, starts squeezing him, and right when it looks terrible for Freakazoid, we cut to Relaxo Vision.
So sweet of you to swing by, Freakazoid.
As a personal favor, please don't have your snake squeeze me, okay?
Swallow him.
Thought I'd never get out of there.
Somehow, Freakazoid has managed to beat up the Cobra Queen, but then behind him we got the cave guy and the ghost, the cowboy ghost, Kid Icarus.
What's his guy's name? Cadaver. He never actually talks in any episode. He laughs.
Yeah,
this one.
This is his biggest role. Yeah, he laughs in here. We see him in the background.
Oh my gosh. I'll look. It's Kid Carrion. That's what it is. Not
Kid Carrion.
Ever, but Kid Carrion.
So it's the animation budget was just blown on this one. So yeah. I would say if you can watch this episode just for this battle there. I don't want to spoil it. So then he has to fight Loeb, who's at the top. He's about to send Steph on a rocket, and it's too late. He hits the button, Relaxo Vision, and cut back. And now and Loeb's laughing, but it turns out Loeb is now attached to the rocket and gets shot into space. And then Freakazoid and Steph kiss and cut to Relaxo Vision again because no one wants to see that. And I think that's the end of the episode.
Well, yeah, the Freakazoid, of course, got kind of upset with the fact that, it's it's similar to the fact, like with Candlejack. Candlejack? No. When they say scream, to interrupt the kissing, there it's kind of the same joke of interrupt the kissing. Yeah. But of course, Freakazoid gets upset and he beats up the Ben Stein guy.
Mm-hmm.
What's this guy's name? He's H.A. Futterman. H.A. Futterman. Not Pip.
Not to be confused, although it's...
Yes, although this guy, I mean, let's just go ahead.
They're probably related.
Yeah, I think they're very closely related. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that this episode starts off here with Ben Stein. And Ben Stein, of course, is, he was bigger in the 90s than he is really today. You could see him in Win Ben Stein's Money, which I used to watch all the time on Comedy Central. And my father was convinced he could win.
Me too.
Yes, well, it was a good trivia show. And Ben Stein was actually a very funny guy. And Jimmy Kimmel was the Ed McMahon to that show. Wow.
That was like his big break, right? Jimmy Kimmel wasn't anyone before.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that was his big break, and then they started doing the Man Show from there. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't think they'll ever have reruns of. But yeah, so Ben Stein was doing that. He was doing the Dry Eyes, and of course, he was best known for probably Ferris Bueller's Day Off, of course.
Bueller.
But we know him as Pip from Animaniacs. So it was nice to see him again. I thought his caricature is just him. It's just, they didn't even give him a different look. They're just like, okay, here you go. I just wrote a few kind of things. There was that thing at the very beginning where he's the different camera angles where Futterman is keeps getting interrupted where the camera is behind him and it's above him and it's below him. And that's kind of a comedic device that I think has been used in a lot of different places, but I first saw it. I think its origins might be in Monty Python, which the writers of Freakazoid obviously heavily influenced by Monty Python and stuff. So if I were a betting man, I'd say that's a Monty Python reference myself. But anyway, let's see. Other little references. Well, I have a lot of cool things that I noticed. I mean, like the when the ninjas jump down, the tune that plays was the same tune that plays in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when Piston Honda comes out. And apparently that tune is called Sakura. It's a folk song, a Japanese folk song called Sakura. So yeah, I heard that. And another cool musical cue that I heard was when Longhorn was charging Freakazoid, you can hear a little bit of music from the opera Carmen play, which is appropriate because there's a toreador in Carmen. And so having a bullfighting song was very appropriate for that little moment right there. So excellent job by Richard Stone and or the Bernsteins, perhaps, who put that in, because that was amazing work. But that's really, there's a lot of little moments I really like, but that's pretty much all I think I could really see for references. Oh, there's also the I guess the song itself, right? What is this thing? The song.
There's a song? The song played.
Song. It's called A Summer Place from the 1958 movie? I don't know. The notes say two different things, but don't worry about it because the movie's called A Summer Place. And the music. and
so easy to remember.
Yeah.
And
Summer Place. There you go.
The music, I looked it up, and the music was written by Max Steiner. And fans of old Hollywood movies might know him. He did the music for Gone with the Wind and Casablanca, just to name a couple of them.
So there you go. So we had a very, we have high production values in this episode. This episode, the funny thing is that, of course, the gag is that you never really see the action. It cuts away from all the stressful things. But this episode is really a classic when it comes to Freakazoid cartoon. Because
I just like all the villains are there, even if you don't necessarily see them all fight. But it's just fun, them all gathering up.
Yeah, in a traditional cartoon, this would be like the season finale episode where you get them all together. But yes, anticlimactic episode. It really, but that's what makes it so fun and memorable, because cartoons didn't do this kind of stuff back actually in the 90s. This was totally out of the box. I think at it today, you go, oh yeah, that's funny. I saw something else on Cartoon Network that did something similar, but at the time there was nothing similar to this. This was
I was very confused as a kid of like, wait, what's happening? Why did I keep cutting away?
Yeah, they're cutting
like
away
I'll have to wait for the rerun to actually see what happens.
Yeah, they'll show it the next time, right?
Exactly.
Well, Kelly, what did you think about this episode? What are some moments that you thought were cool?
Well, I thought it was funny that he made the comment about using up the whole season's animation budget on that one fight.
Yes.
Because after seeing the Relaxavision so many times, I kept thinking to myself, okay, did they run out of money? And is this why they keep doing this? And so then it was so self-referential, because I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess that's part of the gag. Like, either I'm not too far off the mark, or that's just the gag. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder about animation budgets and stuff, especially when a character has a lot of dialogue, but they have their head towards you see the back of their head a lot. I'm like, oh, they're saving money right here. This is great.
Well, they did that with Futterman. Or Putterman, whatever his name is.
Putterman,
and he had to keep turning to face the camera, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, like, whenever a character puts a helmet on, like, oh my gosh, like Star Wars, the Clone Wars, I mean, forget it. They must, love it when a clone puts a helmet on. They're like, oh, this is beautiful. We'll get this so much faster. Well, Nathan, what are some things that you really liked about this first cartoon?
I liked the way that Freakazoid talks when his lips are numb.
Yes.
And I liked that Loeb is very smart and he knows how to make balloon animals.
Incredibly talented. I mean, not only can he make prehistoric marsupials, but he can also, with just a couple pops, make them into ducks, which is, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, mister, can I have a balloon animal?
Here. Diprotodon optatum, an extinct giant burrowing marsupial once common to ancient Australia.
I wanted a ducky.
There.
Thanks.
I really do like that about the Loeb in this episode, is that he does seem like menacing, like he's intelligent, even he's a good foil for
he's
Freakazoid.
He's inept in many
complete
ways.
opposite.
But yeah, he's inept in many ways, but in other ways,
yes,
he's very talented. And should have become a balloon animal guy instead of a. Could have made a good living with that. Oh well. But yes, kissing booths, another thing. I don't know if we'll ever see a kissing booth ever again.
Right?
Kissing booths are a thing of the past. Sorry, Freakazoid. Well, let's see. I just saw funny little things that I was noticing as we're going. Like, they go to the Smithsonian, of course, at the end, and they grab these weapons from the Hall of Nasty Objects. And I thought it was funny that apparently they have a working ray gun as one of the things inside this. It wasn't like a movie prop. This was an actual working laser gun or ray gun. And one little last moment I thought was cute, funny, was when Freakazoid jumps up into the air and is going to kick them in the face, like Cave Guy and Kid Carrion or something. And he does his battle cry. Blah, 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 blah. What a battle cry. That's an intimidating thing. If you ever hear Freakazoid do that, get out of the way. Well, that's our first segment, and I think we better move on to the next one. And of course, this is another superhero segment. It's not Freakazoid. It's Fatman and Boy Blubber.
And now, something very special.
And Fatman and Boy Blubber is a segment that was written by Tom Ruger, and it was directed by Eric Radomski. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Fatman and Boy Blubber?
Okay. There is a little boy on the playground, and he's being made fun of by some other kids, and they're calling him names and making fun of him for being fat. And he says, "My name is Lewis," and so they call him Lewis the Lard Boy. And they want him to give them his lunch money. And Fatman and Boy Blubber come in to save the day, and they have the music, the intro music for the old Batman television series. The Batman, that kind of thing. So it's a parody on that.
Fatman and Boy Blubber, run for it!
After them, Boy Blubber!
Fatman, 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 Boy Blubber, and Fatman.
Fatman! They won't be back.
I got a stitch in my side and I've lost my freshness.
The kids run through the playground, but Fatman and Boy Blubber can't quite catch up. They try to follow them on the monkey bars, and the monkey bars break, and finally the kids make it out of the yard, and Fatman says that if he sees them again, he's going to sit on them, because that's his threat. And they tell the kid that even though that they try to eat right and exercise, they're on the road a lot and they eat a lot of fast food, and the kid kind of looks at them like, what's the point?
As we speed off to defend our fellow overweight friends from the torment and taunting of twisted villains like those two hoodlums you just faced.
Your point is?
My point, Louie? Ha ha ha! My point? My point is, do you have another delicious and yummy sweet bun in there?
Hey, let go!
Come on, Louie, let me just check.
No, that's my lunch!
Louis, it's just a sweet bun.
Knock it off!
Louis, give me that sweet bun!
No!
Boy Blubber, a little help here, please?
So, that's kind of about it.
I would say this is a segment that would not necessarily be on TV today.
Although it was a different time in the 90s.
It was. This was an episode that preached, I guess it was a type of body positivity, right? Sure. Nathan, I guess let's start with you. What are some things that you thought were cool about this?
Well, I liked that he was a superhero and that he was fat. Even though he was fat, he was a superhero, even though he couldn't actually do anything. It reminds me of a video that I was participated in when I was a little child.
Yes.
Where
yeah, we made a video when we were kids. It's somewhere on YouTube. I'm not gonna
promote it
that much, but you can look somewhere on there. But yes, Nathan and I filmed it, and it involves one of our brothers dressed up as Fatman. Now, I'm not exactly sure.
This was before. That was before.
It was before the episode. Yes,
because I remember watching this and be like, "We already did this."
Yeah, exactly.
They stole our idea. We were so creative.
I know, and then later, Weird Al had a TV show as well, like a Saturday morning show, and he had a character named Fatman, where I'm just like, God, they stole our idea again. So apparently Tom Ruger was synced up with our brains or something, because we did the Fatman theme first. In fact, I'll go ahead and play. I have the theme song. Yeah, I'll play the theme song from us.
From ours.
From ours.
Fatman, Fatman, Fatman. Fatman.
Oh, take this, you grumpy old man. Come on.
And there you go. That's me singing Fatman as a high schooler.
So good. The production quality on that. See, we didn't have a Boy Blubber though.
No,
so that was more creative than us.
That's very true. No Boy Blubber. And so anyway, but yeah, this was this was an interesting one. I do like the little lines of "I've got a stitch in my side." Mm-hmm. The voice acting was very good in it, and the idea of just a grown man trying to steal food from a kid, is funny. But Kelly, what did you think? Is there stuff in here that you thought was good?
I liked the take on the Batman theme.
That's true. Well, yes. But yes, it was.
I like the Batman theme.
That's true. The Batman.
Like it.
Well, I like the Batman theme too.
It's like we're trying to think of nice things to say about the segment. Like, if I were to make this cartoon now, I would have a cool battle scene at least with Fatman and make it seem like, oh, he's really like cool. But I guess it's no longer funny. But at least like you're like, oh, he can be fat and athletic, and that's cool.
Well, he couldn't fight the kids though. That's the only
I
thing.
guess not, because that would be fighting kids. You don't want to beat up kids.
No. But I do like just everything. Just I think the main thing I could take away from this is the voice acting, Lewis, all that, and I just
give me your
give me your sticky button. Good stuff with that. Well, let's go ahead and get to our next segment, and it is Limbo Lockup. And Limbo Lockup is a pretty short segment. Basically, we're going to go see Freakazoid, and Freakazoid's just, I don't know where we are, in the internet, perhaps, I guess. And he's just jumping around the place, making weird sounds, doing Daffy Duck jumps. It's very silly, very weird. He's making faces right in the camera. It's good stuff. But the idiotic police, or is that what they call themselves? Yes, the idiotic police come by, and they arrest him and bring him before a judge. And the judge says it's either going to be locked up for 30 days, or you're going to have to listen to Fanboy. And Fanboy comes back, and Fanboy has talks to Freakazoid. They lock them up together, and well, let's be clear. He says, I'd rather just lock me up, but unfortunately he gets locked up with Fanboy still. But Fanboy has some really good information all about how Disney went almost bankrupt with movies like The Black Hole, Tron, and a movie that I had never heard about, which was Something Wicked This Way Comes.
So anyway, back to 1983 at Disney. Their big film that bombed in 83 wasn't Tron, it was Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is actually pretty fun, but it comes across too soft, and it lost a fortune. Anyway, that brought about the arrival of Eisner and Katzenberg.
I've heard about it, but I've never seen it.
I watched the trailer for it last night because I could not find it on Disney Plus. The Black Hole and Tron are both on Disney Plus. I really want to see The Black Hole. I know it's supposed to be bad. There are some people who like it, but I gotta make up my own mind. I gotta see it myself. Anyway. The Black Hole is available on Disney Plus. Tron is. Something Wicked This Way Comes is not. So I think we all should do something on behalf of Fanboy, and that is to request that Disney Plus put on Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Sign a petition or something. Yeah,
I looked at the box office. I think Something Wicked This Way Comes only got $8 million in the box office.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, which even back in, I think they came out in 1982 or 3.
What is it about?
It's about a guy. Okay, so I believe it takes place in an old town, like I'm going to say around the turn of the century, like 1900s or something like that. And the circus comes into town, and people make wishes, but it takes away things from other people. So in other words, like a person gains their eyesight, but then a woman in the town loses her eyesight. And so, yeah, and the circus, it's based upon a book, whom I forget who wrote the book, but it's kind of a dark story for Disney. There's like
isn't it I want to say it's a Bradbury book.
Yeah, I think it was at Ray Bradbury, I think. Yes, I think that's who it was. But yeah, the guy who runs the circus, what was that guy called? The circus
Master?
Master, yeah, sure.
Is he like the devil?
Master. Yeah, I think he's like the devil. He's looking for some kids in the town, and
I feel like Rick and Morty did a parody of this, but maybe it was just a generic, Twilight Zone.
I mean,
episode,
it sounds cool.
It looked like a very Twilight Zone-y movie, and it did sound like a cool movie. Like, you know what? If this was on Disney Plus, I'd probably watch it. And like Fanboy said, he says it's actually a lot of fun, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of does look like kind of a bad, fun movie. So, Disney Plus.
I wonder why it's not on the Disney Plus.
Because
it's so bad. No one wants to see it.
So bad. It's according to Fanboy, it's the thing that almost broke Disney. And then you brought in Jeffrey Katzenberg and David Geffen, and no, not David Geffen, but all the other, the revival of Disney had to happen later on. So.
It sounds like a movie that I'd like to watch.
That's what I'm thinking of. Michael Eisner came in there. Yeah.
If they did like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 or something, I would definitely see this.
Oh, totally.
right?
But Disney has the rights, so
yeah,
I don't think it'll
ever never be.
Yeah, we have to get it released anyway. So that's that right there. It's a cute little thing, and then what Freakazoid says to cue the Huntsman. So I think the main takeaway I can get from this is cool takes from Freakazoid and interesting stuff about Disney movie history. But what did you guys think about this one? Kelly, let's start with you.
I enjoyed learning about the Disney stuff because some of it I didn't know. That's an era of Disney I'm not particularly familiar with. So, and I thought it was interesting that he mentioned Eisner and Katzenberg because, Katzenberg helped found DreamWorks, SKG, Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Geffen with Steven Spielberg because it always has to come back around to Steven.
Nathan, what about you?
I really like the way that Freakazoid talks at the beginning, the boom, kind of.
Yes.
Are you Mr. Freakazoid?
Yes?
We're the idiotic police, and we place you under arrest for being totally idiotic.
And yeah, I felt that Freakazoid got gypped because he picked 30 years in jail, and instead he just had to do 30 minutes with Fanboy. Instead he has to do like 30 years with Fanboy. I don't even know. I just feel sorry for Freakazoid, I guess.
Yeah,
he should have gone with the 30 minutes, I guess.
I guess so, but he gets out somehow. He had a good lawyer in the idiotic police.
Maybe after half an hour he was able to leave then.
That's true. Cruel and unusual punishment. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up with a very exciting episode of The Huntsman. And this, of course, is The Huntsman in Terror Palace. And Terror Palace was written by John P. McCann, and it was directed by Jack Heiter. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Terror Palace?
Okay, it's a Huntsman segment, and the Huntsman hears the horn of urgency, so he comes running urgently, and goes to the police station. And is he the chief of police or captain of the police or anyway? The guy in charge is sitting at the desk reading a newspaper, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that was a mistake. Some rookie was messing around with the horn, and he's been punished." And he's like, it's been real quiet. So the Huntsman said that he was going to go to the aquarium and watch the fish, and if anything happened, to let him know. And so he goes out in the hallway and muttering to himself and kicks a trash can, wastebasket down the hall. And but then we cut to him actually in the midst of rounding up some bad guys. They've been robbing a bank, and he roped them all up and took care of it.
Well, sort of. I think we had the same discussion last time that it's not really even him doing anything in the end with the bank guys. It's the closing credits of his show, basically the mini show.
Yeah.
Of course, the joke is.
I wonder why. It didn't make any sense to me why they said he had nothing to do, and then it shows him helping with the. I don't see it as closing credits, so it's not a smooth transition.
It is not. No, it can be very confusing to go. Wait, but now he is doing something. I don't get it. Well, it's fine.
That's only the second time I've ever seen the Huntsman.
Well, I think this is our last major time that we're going to be seeing.
Yeah,
Huntsman 2, unfortunately.
He'll be back in, cameos, and he'll be speaking lines again. But I think this is his last standalone segment. I'm pretty sure.
And poor Huntsman. Let me tell you, this guy, he can't get a break. He can't get a break. He's trying to get just some work, and he just can't do it.
And now y'all laughing at me.
Well, the really funny thing about this is I just like how the idea of somebody just messing around with the horn is funny because Just the idea of somebody doing that, I don't know. It's just such a silly, stupid little thing. I really like the Huntsman. His theme song is amazing.
It's funny every time. And yeah, I think this is the last time we get to hear his theme song. So
yeah,
that's the sad thing. But
poor guy. Well, and so if you're ever in the Huntsman's town, though, going to an all-night aquarium to see the polyfish.
Because they're funny.
They're funny.
Well, maybe I'll go to the all-night aquarium.
Aquariums are supposed to be very relaxing.
I like watching the polyfish. They're so comical. Wanna go?
Nah, I don't watch fish. I eat them.
Hey, that's a good Yelp review from the Huntsman right there. Go see the polyfish at the all-night aquarium. So with that wraps up today's episode. I think it's time we get to our water tower rating. So what do you guys think out of 5 water towers? How many would you give this episode out of 5? Nathan, let's start with you.
Me? Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a nice solid 3. Yeah, I'll do 3. Water towers, it's a good episode, but like not the best by any means. I mean, the Fatman one doesn't really stand up. This is my favorite, the Huntsman segment. I think I like this one even more than last week's episode of it. And the Relaxovision is a classic, but again, as a kid, I was upset because I wanted to actually see the fights.
Okay. And
So
Kelly, what about you?
Oh dear. I think I'm gonna give it a 2 because I didn't find any of it really funny.
Oh.
And
oh no.
and I just didn't. And the Relaxovision was good for a minute, but then it got like way too repetitive with the music and everything, and the pacing was just it seemed all over the place. So I maybe if I'd watch again, maybe if I'd watched Freakazoid as a kid, I'd love it as much as you guys, but I don't get it. It's it's not my brand of humor.
Oh, well, and you forgot there's also one more last Relaxovision at the very end, by the way. At the very end of the credits. They had to put one last one in.
The busy freeway.
Exactly, the busy freeway.
I do like the videos that they show on those Relaxovision. Like the carnival one, I realized they're all just like dolls. It wasn't an actual carnival. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm just like, oh, no one's moving in this carnival, and I was like, oh yeah, those are just dolls.
I'm gotta pull it up. See, this is like an airplane.
This happens every week,
and then Kelly starts to bring the airplane down just a little bit. So I'm gonna bring the airplane back up. I'm gonna overcompensate a little bit. I'm gonna say it's a 4 water tower episode.
Wow.
Okay.
And that mostly goes to the Relaxovision because it is such a classic. It's such ahead of its time cartoon in that sense, that it is so anticlimactic. And I do like the Huntsman. I do like this one a lot better than the first Huntsman. And I like the jumping around and Freakazoid going blue all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing talking about the black hole, that stuck in my brain for years of fanboy talking about it. So just on a total silliness and nostalgic, a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of silliness, and also a lot of ahead of its time stuff, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. Let's go ahead and get to contact information. Kelly, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or you can email me at kelly@bigshinyrobot.com.
Kelly is always available for Yoda, Baby Yoda memes. Send them her way. She's probably seen
My phone
already.
is nothing but Baby Yoda pictures.
Yes. Send her some good Baby Yoda stuff. She's probably already seen it, but you can challenge her and see if you've seen this one yet. Nathan, what about you?
I have not seen Baby Yoda with Steven Spielberg.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Get going, Photoshop people. Nathan, what about you? Where can people read you online?
I'm on Twitter, Joey. Django FT, that's me.
All right, and as for the Animaniacast, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and of course, we're over at Discord. You can join the Discord community by going to discord.animaniacast.com, and I'll give you the welcome link to talk to us or any of the other folks over at RetroZap. You should subscribe to the RetroZap podcast feed, and that way you can not only get this podcast, but every single one of the other podcasts. And that way you get in tune with everything pop culture that RetroZap has to offer. Whether it's Star Wars or movies or video games or just good old weird stuff like this. Head on over to retrozap.com. I got articles and everything over there as well for you to check out. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey. And we're saying, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animaniacast unless otherwise indicated.
Using your girlfriend as bait, your greatest enemies and I have lured you to your doom.
Oh, listen to the big head man say angry things.